Hello, Summit County. I am Dave Rossi, County Manager. I am here today to talk all things transit. I have with me Chris Lubers from Summit Stage. He's our Summit Stage Director, handling all things transit. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you very much.
So we've got a few things to talk about today. We're going to talk today about 30-minute service coming on April 21st. It's been a community priority for some time. You've been working really hard on that. We are also going to talk about a new bus service that is serving some of our working class community over in the Dillon Valley area, and then we're going to touch on a new project that we've been working on called microtransit. So let's get started. Let's dive right into it. Chris, tell me what you're doing, what you do on a day-to-day basis with the Summit Stage, and why 30-minute service has gone away, what your team has been working on, and when we can expect it back.
Outstanding. I'm Summit Stage Director, so my job is to not just keep the lights on, but make sure we have good engagement, good morale, that we're serving the customer and that service is dependable, as well as hopefully frequent and even more frequent coming up on April 21st. So that's what I do, all things transit.
Great. So April 21st, what's happening? And you guys do a schedule that is seasonal in nature, and you've been working on 30-minute service on a couple of routes or one route this winter, and now you're expanding. That's going to go to all routes starting that day?
Absolutely. We think of April 21st as our summer build, our summer schedule. And these improvements will go on perpetually through winter schedule as well. We will restore, finally, excited to say, we will restore all routes that were at 30-minute service prior to COVID to 30-minute service now, beginning April 21st. As well, we've made some improvements. There are routes that are more frequent now than others. I won't go into too much detail, but the Silverthorne Circulator is one of them. So we're really looking forward to having a full complement of service fueled by our full complement of drivers, which we didn't have before. That was, of course, the reason for bringing service down to a 60-minute or 1-hour interval. We did that proactively, knowing that we didn't have the staff at the time, nor did we have prospects of really any hires at the time. So to stay ahead of it, to avoid cutting service that was promised, cutting service suddenly that folks were relying on, we were trying to get ahead of the curve. And so we reduced that service knowing that today would come, not soon enough, but that April 21st would come.
Great. So staff, like every other department and probably every other business around Summit County, was challenged with staffing levels. And over the course of the past year, I think the stage has been increasing the hourly rate, making benefits more, more attractive to drivers and to prospective drivers. So you guys are pretty much up to full staff, yes, or are you close?
We're very close. Just when we approach that threshold, natural attrition occurs, but that's okay. That's to be expected. We do have many prospects in the pipeline. We screen carefully because we want only the best of the best, but we do feel like we're as close to fully staffed now as really reasonably possible. So we go ahead and use the term fully staffed.
Right. So Summit Stage, as people who don't use the service may not know that it is connecting all of our communities, and so we have some of our workforce neighborhoods that are connected to ski resort towns, but it's also great for guests. But 30-minute service is really designed to help get our workforce back into something that's more expected. It's going to be much more helpful for anybody who does rely on that to get to work in the morning. They'll have a few more options and probably a lot more flexibility.
Absolutely, a lot more flexibility. And you're right, it is geared towards our workforce, getting folks from home to work centers, but also to recreation, also to shopping, also to groceries, etc. And that's what Summit Stage has always done and does now. And in a few days, we'll be able to do much better. We did lose some ridership, in cutting that service, but we maintain a super high level of quality and dependability. Now we're ready to attract that ridership back.
Great. What I really like about it is that you guys have done a great job interlining with Breckenridge's free ride. They have a pretty robust transit system. So when the stage pulls into the transfer center in Breckenridge, people can get off there and jump on one of the lines in Breckenridge. And I suspect you do that as well with bus staying and other services that aren't necessarily part of Summit Stage, but everybody coordinates pretty well together.
Everybody does coordinate very well together. Breckenridge Station, as an example, connects with all of Breckenridge's wonderful routes, as well as a Park County commuter route that goes up into Fairplay, and a Blue River route that takes care of the Blue River community. But yeah, without Breckenridge Station, we would really be not able to serve folks the way we want to serve them. And it is a highly used, very busy station, and I believe that's why Breckenridge is looking towards some federal grants and potentially upgrading that. So we're excited, and we're of course in support of Breckenridge in applying for that grant.
That is great. It's great news. I think 30-minute service is great news for the community overall. I think the workforce appreciates it. I know our staff is, and our bosses have definitely been getting a lot of pressure and putting pressure on us, as they should, to do everything that we can to bring as much service as possible to the community. So we're looking forward to that. That's fantastic. So let's talk about some other service upgrades. There is a sort of an interim project that you just launched on March 11th, I believe, to Swan Meadow Village. And tell me about that. Tell me why we've added sort of a contractor that's going to be connecting to the Summit Stage bus stop, I think, at Summit Cove. I'll let you tell me about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Swan Meadow Village is many things. It has many boxes to check. One, it is super transit dependent. Number two, it did not have good access to transit. We wanted to cover that as well. It just so happens that building a bus stop there will give us a transit hub, transit station, where routes coming from many different directions, Breckenridge, Keystone, Frisco, Silverthorne, can connect at this bus stop, which will give the Swan Meadow Village neighborhood an even better connection to transit. So we're taking marginal connection to transit and turning it into connection to transit on steroids. It's going to be an outstanding transit station, and the folks there, I think, are going to love it. So in building that bus stop, obviously it takes time. We're in design phase now. We're looking to begin construction this summer and potentially complete construction this summer. However, in the interim, the problem still exists. Folks are walking along the road. They're walking along the road at night many times. They're walking along the road during extreme weather conditions. And it was far from optimal, and it was never even safe or equitable. So to cover all these things, check all of these boxes, we're happy to kill many birds with one stone and have this interim shuttle that you just mentioned. So the shuttle will run from Swan Meadow Village, right in front of the community center, out to our main Summit Cove bus stop. It'll run on a frequency to meet all of the main buses. So you can get on the shuttle at Swan Meadow Village, go out. The driver will wait and connect to all of the main Summit Stage buses. We'll run that shuttle until further notice, and until we have a fully operational bus stop.
That's great. So it doesn't look like a Summit Stage bus. It's sort of more like a smaller shuttle, right? So people should expect not necessarily to see the big coaches at this time, but sometime this summer perhaps, or maybe next year we'll have the full bus stop completed, and I think that's great. It's about a 1 mile walk, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and for those of us who walked both ways, both uphill in the middle of winter, it's going to be a great solution for the workforce. So thank you to your staff for getting that done. That's fantastic news.
Outstanding, yes. We'll pass that along. The contractor's doing well. That's a contracted shuttle. It does look a little bit different. It's still a shuttle. It's a small bus, a mini bus. So we're going to put our logo on the shuttle, so it's easy to recognize.
Great, that's fantastic. Shifting gears a little bit, let's talk about microtransit. So this past year, Summit Stage, along with municipal partners, the Summit Stage Board, brought in a consultant to look at the feasibility of bringing microtransit. Tell me about microtransit. What is it?
Microtransit is a way to better access transit, specifically fixed route transit. Instead of walking that mile we just talked about, and in many places even more than a mile, microtransit can connect you from very near your front door. It's not front door service, but very near your front door to the main bus stop. So folks now who would opt to drive to work or to recreation can now jump on microtransit and go straight to the bus stop and utilize our wonderful free transit service. So that's what microtransit is. It's thought of as a, if you terminology, first, last mile solution.
Great. So this exists in some other resort communities, maybe not in Colorado, but I think the commissioners went to Utah maybe a year or so ago to look at how their system works. So it isn't a replacement for Summit Stage, correct? Is it a supplement?
Good, yes, thank you. It is a supplement to Summit Stage. Microtransit can operate separately and connect you with the main bus. Microtransit also can expand and take over a low-performing route, giving even better service to the folks catching main fixed routes. So it's a design problem. Once we have microtransit up and running, we can design micro versus fixed and get the perfect optimal mix.
That's great. So tell me about what's next and how we're going to get there. Feels like it's kind of a big project, but also kind of a cool one.
It is a big project and a cool one. We are just completing the feasibility study, which has found that microtransit is feasible in Summit County. Within approximately 30 days, we will be publishing a solicitation to find qualified contractors to come in, operate microtransit, and more importantly, help us design that optimal mix I was just talking about. So that solicitation is kind of in design right now. We have community leaders helping us design it so that we can have the best chance of attracting the highest quality contractors to operate this service.
So Chris, one of the things that the commissioners had talked about during the feasibility was that it would even be possible for, say, teens or young family members, obviously of a certain age, to be able to help aid families who are always challenged with, I got to take my son to hockey and my daughter to soccer, and I don't know how I'm going to get this done. Is this going to help families out?
Immensely.
Yeah.
Immensely. It will, instead of trying to coordinate soccer mom or soccer dad to get us where we need to go, it'll be pull up a convenient app on anyone's device, make the reservation, walk a short distance to the virtual stop, we call them virtual stops, being picked up in a shared ride scenario and then taken to the main bus stop. So yes, absolutely, it'll help young people, middle-aged people, elderly Americans, you name it.
That's great. So it's an all-age service. I like that, and I think it's fantastic. Another addition for our workforce and families in the community. So kudos to you guys for thinking in innovative ways to really spread out service and to really meet the needs of everybody here in Summit County. That is, I think, about all that we had on transit today. But Chris, thank you so much for coming by, and I appreciate everything that you guys do, and we appreciate your transit drivers, and I think you have something else to say today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Dave. I appreciate you having me here. Today's a big day. Today is National Transit Driver Appreciation Day. So we obviously are appreciating our drivers, as we do every day, but especially today. We're shaking a lot of hands, there's a lot of food in the break room, etc. So I want to shout out to all of our wonderful Summit Stage and local drivers of all agencies, including Free Ride, for getting out there, going that extra mile, no pun intended, and providing great service for our folks that need to get from home to work and our guests that are going to recreation.
Fantastic. Well, from all of us at Summit County, happy National Transit Driver Day. Please pass that along to everybody, and anybody who is on one of our many shuttles and buses today, or any day, say thanks. When you get on and get off, they're working hard, they're dealing with a lot of challenging road conditions here and there, and they're getting it done for everybody in Summit County. Thanks again, Chris.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, everybody. Tune in next time for some more updates from Summit County Government.